information overload, distraction that we face in this world. I'm getting, okay, I have to say okay. So I thought, why not have a little uh, internal churning to discuss a little bit more about uh, this topic and get a deeper understanding so that when we are distracted, we can, oh, we are seeing all the grandkids of Isabel. Wow.
Yeah. 6 months next week.
Yes.
Oh, nice, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, as Christmas was coming through, I always have a little bit of a struggle because I'm not good with buying presents. And there was an overload of things. You open up your phone and everyone is sending you different things. Uh, Constantly the phone goes off and it's all this beautiful Christmas mood and a lot of shopping and what restaurants to go, what gifts to buy. So I thought it was very interesting for me because I don't know how to buy gifts for people. I see things and I want to purchase. It reminds me of someone, but I don't even know if they will like that present. So then my mind goes off into this thing like, should I buy it? What if they don't like it? And will this be a waste for them? Am I just being part of a system where I'm kept in this prison of so-called material comfort? And so this has been playing in my mind since Christmas. And of course, other experiences uh, compounded to this emotion of uh, distractions. So I thought, why not spend a little bit more time in my head, in my heart, and try and see where this is all coming from. So, hence the topic of attractions and distractions. What is an attraction? What is a distraction? And how something so beautiful becomes such a big distraction. So, I got a message from someone, and they told me about a person who died in a car accident. They were driving during the holidays, and people were, I guess, overexcited or distracted, or for whatever reasons. There was a car crash, and that person didn't make it. I was very sad to hear that uh, anytime anyone leaves this world, we generalize by saying it was an untimely departure. Is because we don't want them to leave. But we don't really know if it's untimely or timely. So I didn't say anything. I was just hearing the pain of this person for the loss. And he gave me a statistic: 3,300 deaths in the United States on average in 2022. 3,300 people leave their bodies due to distracted driving, just in the United States, on average, every single year. And I find out that on average in the United States of America, $650 billion is lost to the companies and the country from distracted people in their workplace or doing different things. So it's a very interesting thing how distraction is causing lives, distraction is causing economic losses, and distraction can also cause tremendous amount of mental health difficulties and challenges. And so this distraction is a real issue in this world. And the further we advance in technology, then the more the distraction. And so where are we going? And how do we put some guardrails for us so that we can be less distracted? In order to do that, I resorted to my study of the Gita and the yoga text, where very clearly, as you all know, that the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between two friends. And a very interesting scene happens as the two armies get together to fight this epic battle where billions of people will be will be dead. And Arjuna asks his friend, who also happens to be a charioteer, driving his chariot, please, I'm ready to fight and ready to conquer and ready to win. Krishna says, perfect. I love this excitement. Let me take this chariot in between the two armies so you can get a very good look at uh, both the sides. So what Krishna does as a friend is basically helps him to change the environment from ready to fight, ready to conquer and kill everyone, to Arjuna being in the middle of both the battlefields, the middle of both the armies. And so there was a shift in the environment. And as soon as Arjuna sees that his grandfather, his teachers, his cousins, his uncles, they're all on the opposing side, ready to kill him, his whole perspective shifts. It's an interesting phenomenon. So in the Bhagavad Gita, he explains to Arjuna what happened. He explains that the distractions in this world are coming from five sources. So you can keep this in mind where the distraction is coming from, and then you can also gauge it yourself. The first two layers of distraction is coming from your sense of sight and your sense of hearing. What goes into your ears and what you see with your eyes is the first uh, encounter with distraction. Now, if you just think about it, you're simply sitting in your room, in your living room. You haven't traveled anywhere in the world, and you're there with your little family, and you turn on the TV. The minute you turn on the TV, every single distraction, what they call attraction, is presented to you in your living room, in the comfort of your comforters and blankets and pillows, surrounded by the loving family. You are being fed what materially called attractions. In yoga language, we call it distractions. We get to see all of those things, and we get to hear about all of those beautiful destinations, places to go, food to eat, people to meet, all those continuous uh, impressions are getting planted in the minds and in the hearts of little children and the whole family as a whole. So this is what Krishna explains to Arjuna. It's called the karmendriyas or jnanendriyas, our five sensory faculties, first and second being the sense of sight and sense of hearing. Because that can happen from without much effort. The minute you open your eyes, there is some distraction that can be presented to you. And the ears you can't close them. They're always open for distraction. And so therefore, Krishna explains to his friend Arjuna, you just saw something. You were completely ready to fight, and now you are such a powerful warrior, but you're not responding with the same courage. What happened? And this is what he explains. Arjuna said, I don't know what happened to me, Krishna. Please help me. You're my friend. Help me understand this better. And then Krishna explains this principle of sensory exposure. When we indulge ourselves in sensory exposures without any guardrails, without any filter, we are feeding ourselves desires and distractions that will completely consume our existence. When we see and hear, then we develop a desire in the heart and desire in the mind. Then what happens? The mind engages the body in fulfilling those distractions. Going to the mall and tasting all this food, buying those gifts, buying those colognes to smell right, buying everything that there is to distract yourself from you. So these five sensory faculties are very interestingly capable of keeping you away from yourself. And it doesn't matter where you are. Your mind travels with you. And so therefore the distractions that you have acquired in your living room travels with you to wherever you go. It does not leave you. You cannot just think that I have all these distractions here, I'll just leave and I'll be done with it. No. Because those impressions, those samskaras, have entered our existence. And so therefore they travel with us wherever we go. And this distraction comes in various forms and shapes. And so Krishna is guiding his friend. He says, please understand, where is this distraction coming from? Distraction is an external phenomena. Distraction is not inside. It may feel like the distraction is inside, but there is no distraction inside. Distraction is all coming from the outside. So this is what is being explained. And if we analyze ourselves, we say, I'm distracted. But you're sitting in your room, in your desk, in a beautiful white wall, and still you're distracted. How is that possible? You're sitting in meditation and you're distracted. You are eating and you're distracted. You're with friends and you are flipping through your phones, distracted. Your friend is talking to you and we are not even present. So this distraction has caused human species to completely change their ecosystem, their social fabric, the depth in relationships. everything that is genuinely accessible and available to us is all being altered by varieties of distractions. And nowadays, it explains the average of 720 hours a person spends annually just on technology distractions. And the way it works is that our mind is never, never content with what we have, and we continuously want to try and see what others have and what other possibilities are there in this world. And therefore, this little technology device in our hands gives us great impetus to try and find something more than what we already have. So distractions, Krishna explains it that it comes from our senses engaged with the objects of the senses. But to summarize it, we can even make it more simple that distractions are coming from three particular sources. One is distraction of the mind, because our mind has this ability to continuously think and never stop thinking. And the thoughts that we have are not always that great, because we have been engaged with the sensory faculties of outside data being taken in. So what happens is the mind thinks that I'm not good enough. So this is one of the most common consequences of sensory indulgence with the sense objects of the world. Because when we see things outside, the mind naturally wants to compare with what we have, what we don't have. And so therefore, this constant distraction through this mental pattern of thinking that I'm not good enough. I'm not sure if any of you encounter this. No matter how much you have, no matter what you have, you will always feel incomplete. And it's a very, very dangerous pattern to go down. And that is strictly because of the sensory faculties being engaged with the sense objects. And that creates this mind to continuously compare. And as soon as we compare ourselves to others, which is very interesting, because how can you compare yourself to anybody when our Creator has made us such individuals, so distinctively different? And yet we want to compare ourselves, and therefore this issue that we have, that we are not good enough, it beats a person's natural spiritual growth. It's a big stumbling block. The yoga explains that we should be working. Krishna explains to his friend Arjuna in the Gita that we have so much strength and so much power. And that power that we have is what we are born with, is inherent in all of us. And yet, because of comparing and indulging with the sense objects, what happens? We want to acquire more. I'm not good enough in this, so I want to work towards that. Say you're an artist. You're an extremely good artist. You're a painter. But what will the mind say because of sensory engagement in the world? No, I need to be better at what Amelie does, with the yoga poses, instead of, focusing on the strength that we have, we focus on what other people's strengths are. And so therefore, our pursuits are geared towards what others are successful at. And this is another phenomenon that is quite a big phenomenon that is derived again from the sensory faculties engaged with the sense objects. And this is another big distraction in this world. If we look at ourselves, why is it that we pursue something? You'll notice that it's because someone else is better than you at it. And that's when over endeavor comes into our existence. We only over endeavor because we are trying to pursue something that someone else is great at. But in the Bhagavad Gita we study, that yoga text explains, we should focus on what is our strength. And that is where the real beauty lies, the real attraction is there. And then the third distraction, category of distraction, is that we often will feel, because of this distraction in the world, that we don't have enough time. I am 40 years old. I should have this career and I should have had 5 babies, or I should have had this job and I should have had this, all this time-sensitive pressures that we impose upon ourselves is another byproduct of this deep sensory engagement with the sense objects. Many times we feel, you know, I ran out of time. I wanted to get a PhD, but now I'm old. There's a person who came here for the kirtan and he's 72 years old. And I was sitting at the dinner table with him and he was telling me that he just got his GED, which is a high school diploma. And he was so happy about it, like such an accomplishment. And he was sharing with me, he says, Veda, I did it, you know, I have a high school diploma. And I was thinking, wow, so interesting. And he was talking about how he wants to go to college now. And it's very sweet. It's very cute that, at this age, this is what he wants to pursue. But he was complaining about, time. But now that he's realizing his time is almost checking out, he's like, let me just, do something that I've always wanted to do and held on to this desire for the longest time. Because as time goes, the human nature that is completely involved with the material world, we become more and more insecure. Because this time is a very interesting factor. Insecurity comes with time. Because time decays and destroys and moves all matter. Anything matter is moved by time. So this body, because it's matter, with time it'll start to fall apart. And so time, as time goes by, we are more and more insecure about our existence, about ourselves, about our accomplishments, about our relationships, about our identity. So it's a very sad. It's very sad that our indulgence with the sensory distractions cause us to have such ripple effects in our lives, short term and long term. Short term, distracted driving, it's all gone. Long term, distracted driving, we're just completely filled with insecurities in our lives. So, how do we address this distractions? And what are some things that we can do practically so that we can address this issue and not be so distracted and hopefully have some tools. So what is the yoga texts, yoga wisdom sharing with us about the distractions? So I want to give this to you in 3 parts. The first one is your intention. If you want to avoid distractions in your life, you have to live a life with intention. So, what is your intention? And this intent will actually give you a very deep introspection into your life. If you just ask yourself, what is my intention? With anything, whoever and whatever you engage with. If you want to watch a movie, ask yourself this question, what is my intention? Because intent will get you to introspect, and that introspection will engage the intelligence, and beautiful result will come out of it. You'll be able to do something that is very, very critical for distraction, which is to pause. You can put a pause on whatever you're distracted by, whoever you're distracted by. And so Krishna explains that it's very important to have the right intention. And that right intention can also lead us to questioning, you asking question to yourself about what is your purpose in this world? So it starts with intention. And this will create a beautiful pathway to finding your purpose in this world. So then you will start to live a life of purpose. And if there is purpose in life, there is no distractions. If the purpose is very clearly defined, if the purpose is very deeply connected to you, not something you want to achieve, but rather to the very nature of the I, who you are as a person, then there's distractions are eliminated. You can start to minimize. So that is step 1 that we study in the Gita and other yoga texts that explains how simply asking yourself one question can give you such depth into yourself that you'll be able to not distract yourself. I remember discussing with a friend yesterday, and I was mentioning that we have limited time in this world, and we often forget that we don't have unlimited time. And yet we are very graceful to give ourselves unlimited time that will live forever. But when we do this purpose-driven questions, intent-driven questions, then we start to realize objectively that time in this world is not ours, and we're simply going through time. Okay, so that is first step is asking ourselves this question, what is my intention? And to check that. The second one is intent, and then the second one is regulate. We're not saying that you're completely cold turkey, just cut out all the distractions in this world. Distraction should be regulated. That means if you have uh, screen times that you have for yourself, regulate yourself so that you're not completely sucked into this, uh, what is it called, the one-eyed vacuum. It just completely takes your attention and you disappear into that space, which is not your space, it's someone else's space. And so when we regulate ourselves in timing, we can be sure that your distractions will be minimized. And that's why uh, regulating the senses with their sense objects is very important. Krishna guides Arjuna to the same principle, that don't think that you can just, you know, change everything overnight. It's not an overnight change. No changes happen overnight. Change is a gradual process. Sanai Sanai Ruparamed very beautifully explains. It is a gradual process. So if you have a distracted mind, then you start to regulate the mind. Because we understand the mind is like a little child, and the intelligence is like the mother. The child wants to open every single gift and knock every single thing off the table. If you have had a child, you know how difficult it is. They are just going through everything that they possibly can. And they want to put everything in their mouth. This is their thing. They just want to taste everything. So this is how the mind works. And therefore, the solution that is given in the yoga text is to regulate. If you have a habit of overeating, you just cut down a little bit. Just cut down a little bit of eating. If you're watching 6 hours of TV a day, try to minimize it. Cut down a little bit, do 5 hours, and then slowly, slowly cut down. So this is a very important. People who are alcoholics, they ask me, Veda, do you have some help for me? And I said, yes. How much do you drink? How many gallons? So I just tell them to please cut down a few ounces. Take instead of 12 bottles to try 11 and a half bottles. And gradually, through the process of regulated practice, means regulation. I also recommend this to our uh, to all of you, that when you're doing your sadhana, it is such an important part of our practice that we regulate ourselves every day. We dedicate out of 24 hours, we regulate at least 1 hour of 24 hours you dedicate it to yourself, to your spiritual sadhana. Minimum. Give that to yourself. Everything else you're doing and you're giving it and doing it for others and doing it for society, doing it for livelihood, and so much goes on in our lives. At least 1 hour a day, you must regulate it for yourself. Who gives themselves 1 hour? Just checking. Minimum 1 hour. Oh, that's great. It's nice. It's nice. And more time you can give yourself, the better. If you can give yourself at least 2 hours a day for yourself, for your spiritual cultivation, that's beautiful. And this is what regulation is. Regulating your time to give yourself time. And the third step that recommendation is given, that it must be done with intelligence. Don't do it because I'm asking you to do it. Don't do it because I'm pleading you to give yourself time. Do it because you understand that you have a higher purpose in this world. That intent will leave you with deep introspection where your intelligence plays the biggest role in your life. Intelligence is the mother because it questions, it rationalizes, it helps you to decipher what is truly the need of your soul. And this is where Krishna explains that to Arjuna, that jnana dipena bhasvata, that it is through the applied intelligence, which is considered like a beautiful light that shines from within ourselves. And that light shines within ourselves where we're able to then make sure that our actions are verified by our intelligence. Our actions are vetted by our intelligence so that whatever we're doing, we're not distracted. If it doesn't have intelligence, then it's easy to get distracted. If there is not rational discernment, then we lose it. Why am I doing this? When if someone has a drinking habit, it's not like they want to drink. It's just the impulse is so strong, they just cannot help. You cannot help it because the senses are so strong. Krishna explains in the Gita to his friend Arjuna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati bala bhadridam. He says senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that it forcibly carries away the mind of even a man of discrimination. And this is where distraction comes in. That we cannot think that we have control over everything. Let us realize that we may not have control over everything. Let us try to take a little chunk of our time and try and dedicate it to ourselves and give ourselves at least 5%, 10% control. And that is what this intelligence is all about. It will lead you to a life of purpose. And when we live a life of purpose, then is then it's life worth living. And this is what the sages are saying, that we must apply our intelligence and engage with the world with our intelligence, not with our senses and not with our mind. So these are the three steps. First one is intent, regulate, and intelligence. So you can try to remember this. I, intent, regulate, and intellect. So we just use these three simple principles that is given to us by the sages. And I personally feel that my life has so many distractions. And one of my biggest tools that I personally engage is, my purpose in life. Why am I doing this? And it always brings me back, okay, I get it. I get it. So then I can pause and I can, discern and make the right decisions. So this is, and one of my practical tools is constantly being engaged in service. If our if our daily motions are engaged and connected to service somehow, then it's easier to fight the distractions in our lives. Imagine if every action you're doing, taking care of your children, what a beautiful service you have. Taking care of your friends. I was just, I got the link about the Connecticut Sangha calls last Wednesday, and I listened to the whole call. And I was listening to Maggie. Maggie, you're still here with us? I'm not
Yes,
sure.
I am.
Oh, there you are. I was listening to you sharing about your experience of how the community got together to support you.
Yes.
You had no family in Connecticut, but all of a sudden you had a family of dozens of people who were coming and visiting you in the hospital and bringing you books and giving you moral support and emotional support. This is an engagement of service.
Yes. I tried to give KSHB some money for gas and parking for for yesterday when she took me to my procedure, and she's like, no, no. I'm like, I insist. She's like, no, it's service. And I'm like, well, it's just a gift from me then. She would not let me give her any money, but yes, it was beautiful. I think towards the end I said, I have peeps. Imagine Sally Fields saying, you like me. You really, really like me. It was like I had peeps, and it was so overwhelmingly beautiful and joyful. And I cried and cried. And I cry every morning just on how blessed I am with everyone checking in. Yeah, it's been beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I was quite emotional seeing how well loved you feel in the community. And this is what bhakti is all about. The practice that we are trying to cultivate wherever we are is this unconditional support, unconditional love that we can show with simple gestures. I know that Keshavi mentioned that she had the day off, and I said, so what service are you doing today? He says, well, I'm going to pick up Maggie and take her to the hospital and wait for her surgery, bring her back home. And I was like, wow, what a great way to spend your day off work.
Yeah, waiting for me for 3 hours.
This
Yes,
is
I love
I
you.
had things to keep me busy, like my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. I'm so, so, so blessed and grateful.
so this is what we can do to keep ourselves away from distractions, how to engage ourselves in in the true attraction of the heart, because if we become attracted to the heart, then we will lose distractions from the world. So part of the bhakti practice is teach you to how
Technology fail. Veda, we lost you.
Veda is frozen.
Mm.
Brittany, oh no, Brittany is not frozen.
Did we lose Nitai too? Hmm.
Yeah, it's a Atlanta problem.
Yeah, maybe they lost service.
They got
Veda
dis-
signed off temporarily, so he'll probably try to sign back in.
I think they distracted, got distracted.
Yeah.
We have to talk about them with their purpose.
Oh,
Hey, back.
sorry about that.
You
Someone
got
thought
distracted, I think.
I think someone thought I was talking too much, so they knocked me off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think you were distracted.
No, my Wi-Fi went out, so I'm using hotspot from my phone now. Okay. Anybody would like to share anything? My rant is over. Anybody has any reflections they would like to share about this? Anyone feeling shy? Brittany, would you like to share something? I like your realizations and reflections and calling up.
The first thing that comes to mind, Hare Krishna, everybody, is the instruction to check your intentions. That was something I was given earlier in 2024 at a yoga training. One of the teachers really harped on that, and it stuck with me, and I've been using that throughout the year. And I was surprised at how many times I really couldn't answer the question. Like I didn't know what my intentions were, and how many times I would answer it with something that really wasn't serving the greater good, you know? So I don't really have anything amazing or powerful to say other than checking my intentions has already been working in my life, and I look forward to doing it more. Thank you, Froze.
Anybody else want to share? While we're waiting for Veda to come back.
I typed it almost.
Well, one of the things I can just add is that the question that Veda asked about how do we serve is such a powerful question. How am I serving? What am I serving? And what am I allowing to distract me from service, which is aligned with my purpose? It seems to create a rich life. And I echo what Brittany says. If I'm not asking myself that question, then I can probably suspect I'm being distracted or pulled off my purpose or my intention.
Thank you, Lisa. I missed most of it.
I was just filling in.
I just had one last thought I wanted to share with you is our behaviors are defined by our environment. If you look at our behavior, the way you are, it is defined by the environment. So therefore, this whole Sangha, this bhakti community that we have virtually around the world, is to create an environment of love and support. And that's the whole intention of all of this. That if we create the environment of loving support, then we can change the behavior. Because all our behaviors and habits that we have now, it is due to the environment that we have grown up in, that we live in. And this is a culture that we would like to reestablish in the world, everywhere, wherever you are, to create that safe space, that environment where people can just feel unconditional love and support. Okay. Anyone else would like to share anything? Keshavi, would you like to share anything? Some
Retreat.
wisdom?
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. We have a retreat coming up and tickets in Connecticut. It's Valentine's Day weekend. Tickets are only on sale for a few more weeks, so if you're planning to come, please join us and reach out to me if you have any questions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something philosophically profound.
No, sorry. Maybe somebody else has something.
Also, yeah, if someone wants to escape the winter, you're welcome to come to Colombia. I will be going to Colombia and doing different events at different yoga studios and culminating in this place called Medellin. It's the island of eternal spring. That's the weather that it has all throughout the year. Never been there, but headed over there at the end of this month. And then we can all travel back to Connecticut together for the next retreat. So we can just keep hopping from seeing the world in a spiritual community, spiritual environment. Okay. Nitai, anything else you want to share?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Well, thank you all so much, all you beautiful souls. Keep giving yourselves time. You deserve it. And I am so grateful to each and every one of you. I get to spend time with you every Saturday. And I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Namaste, everyone.
Haribol, thank
Namaste.
you.
Haribol.
Namaste.
Namaste.
so
Namaste.
thank you.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. Happy New Year.